It's 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. The headlines of this are: VP Sara Duterte is facing multiple charges of plunder, graft, malversation, and violation of public trust before the Office of the Ombudsman. The complaints allege the misuse of 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds by the OVP and the DepEd, while Duterte simultaneously headed some years back. Among the complainants are activist priest Flavie Villanueva and former Finance Undersecretary Cielo Magno. They said the case seeks to ensure transparency and accountability in the use of public funds.
Confidential funds is also public funds. When there is when there is the slightest feeling and sabihin nating pagdududa na ito ay ginamit sa maling pamamaraan, then the confidence by nature is preceded by accountability. Hindi dapat magtago ang isang taong gumamit ng confidential funds sa confidential nature.
May malinaw na parameters kung paano ito ginagastos. Hindi po ito kitty fund ng mga politiko. May malinaw pong objective, purpose kung paano ito gagamitin.
For its part, Duterte-allied PDP Laban called the charges filed against the VP a mere political stunt. PDP Deputy Spokesman Ferdinand Topacio says the complainants should focus on alleged misuse of funds by House members, which he claims were enabled by President Marcos.
The iconic San Juanico Bridge in Tacloban has been reopened to two-way traffic with up to 15 tons allowed on it at a given time. President Bongbong Marcos himself led the relaunch of the bridge, which was back in May, closed to vehicles weighing 3 tons and above because of foundation decline. Alternative routes had to be opened since then to and from Samar and Leyte. Marcos vowed the full rehabilitation of the 50-something-year-old bridge by 2026. He also had some words to local officials whom he says should have done something before the bridge further deteriorated.
I hope that this serves as a lesson. The retrofit cost us 1.1 billion pesos. We would not have to do any of this kung yung every 3 years ini-inspeksyon, inaayos, kung saan napunta, kaya hindi na nag-inspeksyon, kaya tayo nagkaganto.
And the other stories we're watching this Friday, December 12. The NBI has recovered significant documents from 3 vaults opened during a search warrant operation at former Congressman Zaldy Co's Taguig City condominium last night. The NBI says these may be crucial to the flood control anomaly probe. The Bureau is now preparing an inventory of the collected evidence and will submit a post-operation report to the Taguig City Court that issued that warrant.
Still on Zaldy Co, the NBI confirmed that a red notice application for the former lawmaker is still pending approval with the Interpol. The Bureau also pointed out that his canceled passport makes the resigned party list congressman an undocumented alien subject to possible arrest over immigration violations abroad.
Surigao del Sur 1st District Congressman Romeo Momo is facing plunder and graft charges. That's over the award of 1.4 billion pesos in government projects to Surigao La Suerte Corporation. Members of Momo's family serve as officers of the company, with the lawmaker himself previously serving as a director. Momo denies the allegations, saying he has long divested from the company. He also calls the charges a desperate attempt to link him to corruption.
And Senator Bato de la Rosa remains a member of the Senate contingent in the bicameral conference committee on the 2026 national budget. That's despite his absences from the Senate since November 11. Finance Committee Chair Senator Win Gatchalian says de la Rosa has not resigned nor indicated that he will skip BICAM meetings. Congress is expected to live stream the BICAM proceedings, which start tomorrow, December 13.
And joining us a little bit later will be our resident political heckler, Ronald Llamas. Mukhang napagang weekend ni Ronald. But he's, I think, going to be appealing.
Weekend. Wala tayong weekend. Bicam tomorrow. We have to...
Kawawa
We
ka
have to
naman. Hindi ka ba nasabihan? Okay, so ikaw yung bantay bukas.
And from the Philippine Star, Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami. Si Ami din on duty tomorrow. Bicam tomorrow. We have to monitor.
Happy weekend. Happy weekend.
Okay, nauna
First
siya ng happy
time
weekend,
live stream.
Ha?
First time live stream by
Oo nga eh. We expect that start to finish, no? Hindi lang... kasi before, remember, in previous years, part of it was really covered by media naman talaga. And then it gets to a
Yung
certain...
opening.
Oo. And then it gets to a point where, okay, pag mag-negotiate na sila, the media has to step out of has to leave the room na. Dati, last year...
Photo op lang yun, yung umpisa.
Oo,
Photo op.
last year, I remember they held it at Manila Hotel. Tapos, after nung mga opening remarks, ayan na, pinalabas na yung media. So,
Wala na.
what we expect this time around, to be very clear, is start to finish, end-to-end, live stream, and that we are able to cover it fully.
So, pati yung horse trading, live stream nila?
Well, that's what we'll find out. Oh, ye of little faith.
Yung tipong pupunta sa banyo yung isa, hahabol yung isa.
Uy, bigyan mo sa akin ta.
Hindi, wala.
Oo nga, no, that's a good point. May bantay ba sa banyo? We should, no? We should put people there.
Actually, what you have to look out for is continuity. Kung before a break, ito yung napag-usapan, tapos after the break, iba na yung numbers.
Oo.
May napag-usapan na nun.
And then remember, this
Sa
time
banyo,
around,
hindi.
kailangan na ilagay yung name ng proponent. So malalaman natin sino yung humingi ng right? Who asked for what. Ideally, I don't know how they could... I don't know if there's any loopholes here that you can exploit, pero yun yung expectation natin that we'll be able to cover the horse trading fully.
So watch the horses carefully. Hindi lang yung karera. Ami, ano malaking story nyo? It's a Friday. What are you looking at for headline tomorrow?
Wala. Dagdag ko lang na tuloy na yung resignation ni Babe Singson from the ICI on Monday.
Oh, bakit? Was there a
Wala na
doubt?
daw urungan. Di ba pinapakiusapan siya na kahit man lang daw year-end? Sabi niya, hindi ba ma-extend lang daw kahit hanggang year-end? Oo. Hindi na ako. Siguro gusto na niya mag-Christmas, Kasi tutuloy-tuloy daw nila yung trabaho nila over the holidays, tuloy pa rin kahit walang hearing.
And to this day, we don't have a comment yet officially from President Marcos on his resignation.
Yes. At saka wala pang kapalit, Kaya mukhang
wala
totoo
pa.
na, baka i-phase out na lang eh.
Mukhang yun
Well,
yung...
Diba kasi-
if you listen to
Di ba sabi
Remulla,
sa atin ni,
mukhang
ni-
direksyon.
Di ba sabi sa atin ni Mayor Magalong, pati yung sa SGV, she wants to leave na eh.
Yeah.
Kasi ang expectation nila, mga a few months lang sila.
Actually, nakatext ko si Magalong after our conversation with him eh. Nagdagdag siya ng detalye.
Are you allowed to say?
Ha? Hindi. Kasi I asked him, sir, so you're confirming that she's kasi hindi niya sinabing diretsahan.
He didn't want to say eh.
Yeah, but I asked him, so you're confirming na ganun
Itatag mo lang naman sila.
So, i-confirm niya eh. Sabi niya si Fajardo manifested that she wants to leave by December, but she was asked to stay on until January.
But you have to explain the context. Why?
Well, I don't know what the other parts if I can say. Pero ang sabi kasi niya ganito, di ba, basing it on our interview yesterday with him, sobrang busy daw at this point, especially December.
Yes.
Ang SBB.
Year-end eh.
Oo. So marami naghahabol. Pangalawa, yun nga I think somebody mentioned it a while ago, most of them expected mga 3 months lang dapat itong trabaho ng ICI. So, medyo nagkapatong pa.
I'm a little confused kasi on the one hand, there are a lot of calls to push the bills in the Congress,
But
lower
on the
house
other hand,
and
kasi
Senate.
also
On the
have a
other
bit
hand,
of
ano ba talaga?
a lukewarm response from Malacanang. Yes, they're persuading Congress to pass the bills, but they're not certifying it as urgent. So,
Kasi you will be creating an entirely new agency eh, kapag sinetap mo yan eh.
Yeah.
Di kailangan mo ng budget. Kailangan daw nila around 100 million a year yata yun eh.
but even if it's
more than.
Even if you pass a bill giving more powers to the ICI, pwede namang bigyan ng sunset clause yung body created through law eh. Di ba? You can give it 3 months.
Why would you sunset it when
If you want to,
clearly we have a need for a commission who will solely investigate corruption across all levels of government, hindi lang ombudsman. Ombudsman, as we keep pointing out, ang responsibility lang niya is salary grade 27 above. So we need somebody to oversee the whole of government, right? We've proven that with this case na yung corruption is so endemic and so deeply entrenched, di ba? So, why would we sunset it?
Kasi it'll take you 3 months to get a budget. For the year.
Budget lang pala. Tawagan na si Ronald.
For the same year, di ba?
Ronald, go raise some budget for the ICI.
Diba? September pa napag-usapan, pero December na, last Friday lang ata na ilabas yung notice of cash allocation.
This week. This week lang nilabas.
There you go. Patapos na yung taon.
Hindi, kaya nga, inaasahan nga kasi nila, pati silang mga taon, yung mga members ng ICI, they were expecting only a few months. Parang hindi nila alam biglang lumaki tong issue paano yan? That's SGB, that's the biggest auditing firm in the Philippines. Siya yung managing partner, and it's the end of the year, yan ang pinakamaraming trabaho dyan.
Kasi nga maraming companies na naghahabol to close their books.
Yes.
Okay.
Kaya yan ang problema.
And then it's Friday, but we have a new Plunder case talking about ombudsman. Ayan
We were talking about it a while ago.
Nadagdagan pa ng kaso.
600 plus million in confidential
Pero
funds.
inaasahan naman yan ni Boying Remulla, yung kay VP, he's expecting it.
But we were talking kanina about
Whether you can file Plunder criminal charges.
Whether forward against impeachable officials. Because
No, you can. She's not immune from immunity. She can be prosecuted.
Pero
She cannot be removed from office.
May law around it apparently, Ami.
Yung jurisprudence appears to be na you cannot move forward with a criminal case against an impeachable official. But however, the Ombudsman Act provides that it can investigate an impeachable official for the purpose of initiating an impeachment complaint. Kasi walang purpose to prosecute. You cannot prosecute Walang purpose to prosecute to begin with if you cannot remove So, ang sundot yan is you investigate for the purpose of filing an impeachment complaint or supporting.
Pwede naman yung investigahan at bahala na kung may mag-impeach.
Oo, yun. So, yun ang sundot nun
So, mukhang yun nga. Well, sorry, that's conjecture.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, pero
that's the direction of the questioning
the timeline of it is leaves a question mark kasi. Why now, right? This is in relation to the confidential funds issue from last year pa, nung previous year pa. So the complainants were activist priests Father Flavio Villanueva and Roberto Reyes, former finance USEC Cielo Magno, who's of course just won a case at the Supreme Court with the PhilHealth transfer of funds, and former peace advisor Teresita Deles. So apart from Plunder, ang charges against the Vice President are violation of Section 3A and 3E of Republic Act Number 3019 or Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, malversation, bribery and or corruption of public officials, betrayal of public trust, and culpable violation of the 1987 Constitution. Again, very high crimes. So
yung impeachment, it cannot, yun ang isang argumento nila dun sa Supreme Court, The impeachment cannot cover offenses na hindi kasama dun sa posisyon niya ngayon. Kaya sabi nila, yung sa education na yan, hindi pwedeng isama dun sa impeachment complaint. That's one of their arguments. So kapag yan natuloy, kung sakasakali man kahit hindi mo mapatatanggal si VP, pwedeng ituloy yung mga kaso dun sa mga kasama niya. Yung mga dating tao niya sa DepEd, nakasama pa rin niya yung iba ngayon sa OVP. Tutuloy yung kaso na yon. Pwedeng ma-hold kung sakasakali na hindi ma-impeach yung kay VP, pero pwede pa rin siyang imbestigahan.
Correct.
At saka ang importante dyan, during the investigation, pwedeng, dahil meron ng kaso sa ombudsman, pwede kang mag-request sa AMLC, can we open bank accounts of these people?
So that seems to be
isa pa rin
key
importante
here.
yun.
That seems to be yung to borrow Ed's word, is yung sundot dito. So now that there's a charge, they can go and ask for the bank accounts to be
AMLC,
open.
yes.
Oo, AMLAC.
And the AMLC can tell the banks, you lift the bank secrecy law, kailangan namin to.
Oo,
Pwede
correct.
na yun.
But I also remember, was it Justice Carpio or former Justice Carpio said na if you look carefully at the SALNs that all officials and employees file every year, dun sa pipirmahan ng mga empleyado at opisyal, meron dong one paragraph waiver. You're giving the ombudsman authority to verify and validate your asset declaration.
Pag may kaso,
I remember Justice Carpio saying that that's the same thing as a bank waiver because you're allowing the ombudsman to check whether or not your SAL and declarations
Are
accurate vis-a-vis
Pero
bank
wala naman
statements.
nag-check dati.
Oo. So that also appears to be one other avenue that they can or they could have approached even without an impeachment complaint yet.
pero pag inumpisahan yan ng ombudsman sa iisang opisyal, sasabihin, bakit mo ako
Bakit sila?
tina-target? Di ba? So you just wait for a case.
So it's an
Lalo na yan, politically charged yan eh.
Oo.
Dapat sabihin, bakit ako lang? Di bakit tingnan mo yung sa presidente, yung sa lahat ng senador?
Dapat all
Diba?
or nothing. Oo.
Yeah. So this can be a trigger. In
Di
other
pwede
words,
isa-isa lang.
this could be a trigger for them to move in that direction as well.
Pero mas magaling na nga ako, ipasa mo na lang sa AMLC. Mas may yun eh. Isang salita lang nun, amin na yung bank account. Papayag na yung bangko. Kasi yung ibang bangko mag-hesitate kung walang kaso eh. Kasi baka sila tirahin naman in violation of yung bank secrecy law. Pwede silang file ng account holder.
But I mean, can you write it to me again? Can the AMLAC look into your bank accounts or bank records without a court order yet?
Kailangan covered accounts. I'm not sure kung pwede na kung walang court order. Pwede nilang i-freeze. Pwede silang mag-freeze.
Yeah.
Pero yung opening, I think you need a court order.
I think you'd still need a court order.
Or an ombudsman request. Pwede mag-request ang ombudsman eh.
No, sorry. Two things there. One is, yung freeze, may time limit yon.
Yeah.
30 days at a time.
Meron yun. Pero pwede mo siya extend ng
extend. Pero even the extension is may limit yata, if I remember correctly.
Like how many
But 30 days
extensions
at a time. Secondly, remember there's a new AFASA law, the Anti-Financial Scamming Act that was passed this year, if I recall correctly. That gives the Bangko Sentral a lot more teeth when it comes to going after these bank accounts. Ang naalala ko about it, AFASA, is it does enable the authorities to look into the bank accounts without a court order. So, and nung pinasa yon, initially the idea for the bill, the act, was meant for something else, which is yung mga low-level criminals, like the ones scamming through text or through chat or kung ano man, right? Yung mga love scams. That was the original idea for that. Pero I remember when I moderated a BSP roundtable recently, a few months ago, sabi nga nila, they realized they could use that law to go after the flood control perpetrators. Kasi it gave them more power.
Can they go after politically exposed person?
Oh, yeah.
Yan ang isang tanong dyan.
They can, pero will they? Right? They can because technically covered tayo lahat ng...
Politically exposed yan.
Oo, covered tayo lahat ng AFASA law eh. Ano ba yung full name nun? Anti-Financial Scamming Act. Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act. Republic Act number 12010. Oh, it was enacted into law last year to combat financial fraud, phishing, vishing, money muling, social engineering. So, yun nga, initially the idea for...
May scammer yan eh.
But then they realized na, teka lang, pwede natin gamitin sa mga flood control perpetrators. That's what I remember the BSP saying to us.
Okay, but we're trying to get we're trying to get we're trying to get somebody or one of those who filed actually still a complaint, not yet a charge.
Still
a complaint, just to make a distinction kasi yung filing charges are usually the prosecutors eh.
And
At
then
medyo matagal-tagal pa yan bago magkaroon ng court order kung sakasakali.
Matagal.
Kailangan i-file pa yan sa Sandigan Bayan eh.
And then of course, yung point that we keep coming back to is plunder is one of the hardest crimes to prosecute. Pati si Ombudsman Remulla called it insanely difficult because of the jurisprudence that was set before na may mga 3 conditions yan. Well, the first is the amount, 50 million. Also, okay, fine, pasok siya. Pero yung second and third
Parang
conditions
baba na nga ng 50 million.
Oo nga, in today's money, no?
Dati ang laki ng 50 million eh. Ngayon parang, ngayon parang, 50 million lang.
Plunder na to.
Pero kasama naman dyan yung malversation, so okay lang.
Tsaka yung
Malversation is, mababa lang naman yan eh.
mababa lang.
But it's non-bailable and it's a life term kung sakasali. Convict ka.
Culpable violation of the Constitution din.
Parang ano yun, parang hindi ko alam kung criminal yun. Parang sa impeachment na yun.
Impeachment yun eh. It's the same argument that the House used to impeach her, remember? Ito yung more or less
Sa
the same.
impeachment, kailangan talaga yun. It's not a criminal prosecution eh. Pero dyan, parang dagdag na lang siguro yun. Anyway,
I
ano
think
pa naman yun eh.
more than anything,
Lilinisin pa yan ng ombudsman bago i-file sa korte.
and I think more than anything, the courts are looking for a clear line to be drawn between the money trail going up to the principal. That was the problem of all those senators who
Plunder
were...
yun.
Plunder. All those senators
plunder
who were jailed for a few years but eventually acquitted while their chiefs of staff were convicted.
Kaya nga magmamalversation na lang, mas madaling mas madali yung reasonable certainty of conviction, yun ang requirement.
Correct.
Diba?
20 to
Mas
40
madali na
years
siya.
din, 20 to 40 years din in jail yung penalty. Pwede rin yata for reclusion perpetua for malversation, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, life term yun, life term. Kaya siya non-bailable. 22 hanggang life term.
Yan naman yung non-bailable yan. Di na niniwala sa non-bailable, ha?
Wala naman diyang wala naman diyang geriatric na pagbibigyan na naman humanitarian. Anong rason mo dyan kung sakasakali?
Which I found out from lawyer friends was not in the Constitution even.
Yeah,
Parang
it's unusual.
it's a new thing
Bigyan
na
talaga.
Humanitarian considerations.
Oo.
Yeah. Everybody was
talaga
shocked
yun.
na meron palang ganun.
Wala
They
naman-
never taught us that in law school.
wala naman talagang ganon.
They had to issue a statement na one-off lang yun. It was not daw a precedent. Kasi nag-aalala yung legal community natin. Ano ba yan? Pwede na ba yan ngayon? They had to issue a statement na hindi, ano lang yan. One-off lang yung case na yan.
Isn't that worse? Parang special show pa.
Ayun na nga.
Special show pa.
Magaling yung abogado niya eh. Si Titong Mendoza yan, remember?
Mendoza, yeah. Estelito Mendoza.
Sino na ba yung Estelito Mendoza now? Who is the heir apparent?
Wala ngayon eh. Wala ako nababalitaan.
Wala kang kilala. So you know the defender of the high profile accused.
No, ingat sa mga bibitawang
I said
pangalan.
accused.
Ingat sa mga
Accused.
bibitawang pangalan.
Accused. Yeah, pero dati kasi
Kasi marami rin mga ambulance chasers na kaliwat kanan yung mga to the defense.
Yes.
Not naming anybody, but pero marami rin ganun.
maraming ganun. But yeah, Estelito Mendoza was one of a kind.
Oo.
Ay,
Walang pumapalit. Pero malaki ang ngayon, malaki in demand ngayon yung mga defense lawyer.
Oo, talaga. Okay, so there. Ami, ano pa ang mga sara nyo? Wala sigat.
Yan lang nga. Yan lang dagdag ko.
Grabe ka naman, Friday na Friday, ano na.
Hinihintay namin yung alam mo naman yung mga malisyoso dito, isang
Mga
point
malisyoso
na
dito.
napansin nila dun sa San Juanico, hindi daw kasama ni BBM yung kanyang favorite cousin.
Oh, and San Juanico, of course,
yan
connects
ang out ng mga
matagal na siya hindi kasama sa mga inspections.
Pero that's Tacloban eh.
yeah, I
Oo,
know.
that's late eh.
But
That's his
still,
turf eh. Oo.
why would he at this time?
That's late eh. Yan. Kaya marami mga spekulasyon yan because of that video, photo. Imagine pati yung apelido niyang kasama niya is Romualdez.
Oo nga. But I mean, ano din eh, it's, I'm sure he realizes it wouldn't look good optics-wise.
Yeah, pero it's a glaring it's also a glaring absence
kasi dati
Yeah.
sa kahit
parating
anong
nandun, pero ito
kahit
now
anong photo.
it's his province eh.
Yes. Kaya may mga mga nag-uumpisang mga ugong about mga speculative, alam mo naman dito, Republic of Marites.
Republic of Marites. Well,
Oo.
sometimes din okay din that people are noticing, di ba? Nakikita na nila yung
Yeah.
politics is all, well, not all, but a lot of it is just optics. Right? So,
Saka iniintay natin, baka makuha ngayon yung red notice. No?
oh,
Kasi
sabi
may Interpol office naman dito meron naman dito sa Manila na Interpol
teka lang,
office.
which Interpol notice do you want? Zaldy Co or
The red notice
Harry
for
Roque?
Zaldy Co. Zaldy Co.
Yes, mukhang mukhang it seems like it's imminent. But we don't know at this point kailan siya may issue.
Medyo mabilis yan kapag ganyan. Ano naman yan eh. Ako naka-file na yung case. Madali siya.
Pero baka mahirap din siya kunin eh. Kasi kita mo sa mga video niya, iba-iba itsura niya eh.
Ha?
Yung paano,
Minsan naka-brush
kasi
up.
tinitingnan niyo
minsan
pati
naman
yung
may
mga AI
bangs.
generated.
Yung buhok?
Oo.
Ang dami-daming AI generated video. Ang dami.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm
you
talking about,
verified
I'm talking about
AI
the videos
generated.
that are being posted in his official Facebook page. Nagbago yung mukha niya, nagbago yung mukha niya,
lost
hindi lang nagbago yung damit niya.
Baka nagpapabago nga siya.
Hindi ko alam,
Hindi
pero
naman
pansin ko yung
magpaano
buhok
ngayon
niya
eh.
You mean to say pag if you went to Europe tapos na kasalubong mo siya sa
Yeah.
daan, di mo may recognize?
Wala. Hindi ko nakilala nung una sa lumabas eh.
Napaka naman, kahit sa ibang bansa, kanto-kanto lang yung mga plastic surgeon.
Sa bagay.
O, punta ka ng Korea.
Oh. Kaya nga, exactly.
Pamiyak.
Pwede kang mamili.
Pamiyak, malaki
Bawat,
pap na dating mo.
bawat portion ng mo, you can alter.
Correct.
Okay. And the other big story, of course, coming from yesterday was that affidavit from Ramil Madriaga. Some
Yes.
points lang that that could bear looking into. Again, we're talking about the affidavit of Madriaga. We're not saying that it's authentic or that it's accurate.
Dinina yun nung isang abogado na binanggit niya. Sabi niya, it's preposterous.
Okay.
It's a polluted source. Yung isang OVP,
Interesting lang yung affidavit niya kasi for example there are some mentions there in the affidavit, for example confidential funds, may heading ng confidential funds just before the paragraphs eh. While there's a heading of confidential funds, walang explanation doon sa paragraphs on what the funds or how the funds were gotten or used, etc. Headings lang siya. The same goes with the 1 billion pesos allegedly turned over using a Toyota Grandia. Nasa heading lang yung 1 billion pesos pero walang elaboration or details or even mention the 1 billion pesos allegedly in cash doon sa pinaka-affidavit. So medyo butas-butas at kulang-kulang pa. Which is what we were trying to ask yesterday, yung si Atty. Palad, exactly what is this affidavit for, what did they intend to do with it, and what were they trying to prove or disprove with it eh. Kasi as it is by itself, parang hindi pa siya enough
Credible enough.
for the filing of any case.
Yeah. And bottom line for me, it's not clear what their motive is. And especially why he's speaking up now.
What was the objective?
Bakit ngayon, right? You always gotta come back to the question of what are you doing this for? And explanation ni Attorney Palad was that
Sama na loob.
masama yung loob niya kay VP because what was it?
Masalimot pala.
Humihingi siya ng tulong.
Inaasahan niya, ang dami ginawang confidential projects and operations for you.
Hindi mo ko tinulungan.
Nag-deliver ako ng pera para sa iyo, pero hindi mo man lang ako sinugunduhan, sinuportahan.
Correct.
Sa kaso ko with Harry Roque.
Oo, correct. So he was hoping to get some help with that. But
At least that's out.
that's a bit,
is
is that a
clear.
strong enough motive? I'm not sure. Parang, ano, diba? Parang it raises a lot of questions in my head. The other thing that raised questions is yung sinabi niya that VP Sara visited BJMP twice. Tapos nung tinanong natin if so may kita
Nakita
natin
sila.
yan sa record
Hindi naman daw bumaba.
BJMP. Sabi niya malamang hindi ilalagay sa record because she's a high-profile person. I mean, even more so they will put it in the record, right? I mean, every visitor to be
This is the
sometimes
Philippines.
hindi.
This is the
Okay.
Philippines.
So sometimes hindi pwede.
Oo nga.
Pero ang
Ay,
basis
hindi naman daw bumaba, di ba?
Everybody knows
Bumaba.
you're there,
Edit.
but the records may not know you're there.
Oo.
So ang basis lang niya at this
Lalo na kung gabi na yun, inaantok na yung nandun sa ano.
ang basis lang niya at this point is
Hindi talaga.
maraming guards yung nagsabi. But of course, if you're trying to make a case and you're making serious allegations at another person, we can't just go by hearsay. Right? So
May isa pang ano, kagabi, nakalimutan ko nga pala. Baka may kopya ka na, Ed, yung anti-dynasty bill ni Bojidi sa ni Sandro, nabasa mo na ba yung detalye? Hindi ko pa nababasa yung detalye ng bill.
Hindi pa, pero the report released
Medyo
by the
ano
TV5
siya,
reporter.
medyo
I did.
stringent, ha?
nakita ko.
Up to 4th degree. Oo.
Yeah. 4th degree. Hanggang tito, tita, pamangkin, and first
Yeah,
cousin.
4th degree.
Pero yun nga as we were discussing before, nung kausap natin si Janet Garin,
Clustering.
yung
Walang ganung binabanggit eh.
hindi, binanggit yun, 4th degree.
Hindi yung clustering. Hindi, importante.
Nandun. Yung clustering.
Hindi
may
lang-
clustering.
they just didn't call it clustering.
Oo. Remember si Garin was talking about the first cluster, the national cluster would be president,
Yes.
vice president, and the senators. The second cluster would be the congressmen and the party list. Third cluster
list.
would be provincial. Fourth would be municipal. And then fifth, city. And then sixth would be barangay. So, so long as you don't cross clusters,
Pwede yun.
I mean, yeah. Pwede yun. Kumbaga, you can have a vertical dynasty of sorts. Meron kang presidente,
Marami-rami pa rin.
kamag-anak ay congressman, kamag-anak ay governor, kamag-anak ay city,
Saka yung
town mayor,
succession.
at barangay.
Pwede pa rin direct succession.
Oo. Wala
Pwede pa
pang
rin.
mention ng wala pa tang mention ng ganun eh.
Hindi ko tinignan eh.
Yung parang thin dynasty is what they call it eh, yung parang succession. Yun ang
Wala,
papasakot
tinanong ko si Congresswoman Garin, right?
Parang walang
If you will allow rotations and swapping of positions. Sabi niya,
these are elected people, parang may ganun siyang ano eh.
exactly. Yung congressmen think it's against their constitutional right if you prevent them from running.
Pero yun ang nature ng dynasty eh. That you are succeeded by your relative.
Exactly.
Diba?
That you concentrate power amongst yourselves by passing the position amongst yourselves, right? So feeling nila birthright nila yung maging elected official.
So,
But
after 9 years sa local, papalit yung asawa. Another 9 years. Tapos nun yung anak, yung hindi ba?
Okay.
That's the dynasty.
yes.
But the other interesting and controversial aspect of that bill is if you're looking at even within one level or even within one cluster, pero magkakamag-anak kayong mga tumatakbong gobernador basta hindi kayo isang probinsya.
Oo nga eh.
Ibig sabihin, basta ito, governor ka nitong probinsya na to, pwedeng kapalit mo, governor sa kabilang probinsya. And the same goes with the
Di ba
cities and towns.
idadagdag, baka daw idagdag nila yung regional cluster.
Well,
Bawal.
she said na baka na pwedeng idagdag yun only after it was brought up.
Sabi niya, it's a good idea.
Oo. Only after it was brought up.
We'll see if it makes it there. We just have to take a quick break right now. You're watching Storycon on One News. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Storycon on One News. We've got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back.
To Storycon, friends. The Storycon. I'm Madriaga.
And still with us, I'm Nico Mintuan of the Philippine Star. Also joining us this afternoon, we are talking to Senate Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.V. Ejercito. Hi, Sen. Can you hear me okay?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Senator.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Nice to be back on your show.
Sen, first of all, I'm sorry that we're calling you. I heard you're still in the
hospital now.
hospital.
Oh.
What happened? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm still here actually in St. Luke's now. But I'm hoping I'll be discharged hopefully by tomorrow. had a slight lung infection and which led to pneumonia.
Oy,
But
pneumonia.
hopefully I'll be better tomorrow.
We're interviewing somebody with pneumonia.
Pasensya.
Nga.
Okay, but you're okay to talk to us, and I'm so sorry that we called you.
Yeah, we'll be okay. I'm on the way to recovery. So.
Okay, hinga-hinga lang sir ha.
Okay, anytime you need to stop, you just let us know, okay? So
Okay.
first thing we want to talk to you about is yung LOAs. I know that I monitored the hearing yesterday. I know you dialed in via Zoom kahit na nasa hospital po kayo. So itong problem na to, the LOAs at BIR being weaponized, it's been a long-standing problem, but it sounds like it's gotten worse in the last few years. And my question to you is, did you get a better sense of what they're gonna do to fix this? Was it enough what you heard?
Well, that was my very first question to the new BIR commissioner because it has really worsened the past few years. I'm sure that a lot of you also know that our small and medium scale businessmen have all been victimized by LOAs left and right, and it has really become so blatant the past few years. That's why I really had to bring it up during the budget hearing. So that's when it started, and nobody would want to, alam niyo naman, ang BIR, lahat tayo takot yan, kahit kami takot yan. Nobody would want to bring it up at first, but, a lot of businessmen, and even the European Chamber, American Chamber, and even the European Ambassador, the EU Ambassador, have already complained that even their investors are being harassed by BIR through LOA. So we had to bring it up. So that's the first question I asked the new BIR commissioner on what reforms that he will be instituting. First and foremost, they suspended issuance of LOA at this time, and I think they will come up with safeguards and be more stricter. I think LOAs will have to be approved by the commissioner himself.
I think that surprised a lot of people na the RDs, yung mga regional directors, have absolute authority to issue LOAs. So ang powerful pala ng mga RD.
Definitely, Ed, no? At saka nakakalungkot dito, Ed. Sa akin, halimbawa, for example, 12 billion yung assessment. Halimbawa, nagtapos sila sa 1 million na lang. Okay lang kung 1 million, masakit sa dibdib kung the bigger chunk would go to the government. But with 1 million, yung resibo ron, 200,000 o 300,000 lang. So, about 70% goes to the pockets. So, that's a problem. Yan po malaki, masyado ng garapal na, yung pumapasok sa gobyerno, kakapiranggot, yung pumapasok sa bulsa, napakalaki.
Tsaka double whammy yan, sir, kasi for them to be able to reduce the assessment, mag-negotiate yan, may give and take yan eh. So, bababaan natin assessment mo, pero porsyento sa akin. So, to begin with, yung 1 million na yan, talo na yung gobyerno dyan. Kasi ni-negotiate downwards na yan, tapos kakaltasan pa ng 70%.
Gano'n na nga, no? Sabi ko nga, masakit bandang kapin. Sana kung balik na, kung 70% yung pumapasok sa gobyerno, 30% yung binubulsa, ibaliktad eh. 70% yung dinatakma, 30% na resibo. And it has been happening all over. Hindi lang what's really sad is that yung mga small and medium scale businessmen, the small and medium scale enterprises are the ones really being victimized by LOAs. So of course, yung mga malalaki, the big corporations, but ang kawawa, yung survival, yung mga the small and medium scale enterprises.
Senator, yung isang story ngayon, announcement ng BIR, lahat daw ng LOA ngayon kailangan kumuha ng clearance from the Office of the BIR Commissioner. Do you see any red flags sa ganung klaseng measure? O okay na sa inyo yun?
Well, I'm hoping that will be one of the measures or one of the safeguards to prevent further abuse, at least it will come from the commissioner. Kasi as what Ed has mentioned, masyadong powerful yung mga RDs eh. They alone can issue these LOAs, di ba? Nasa kanila lang yung power to issue these LOAs on their level. So hopefully this time around, it will be now centralized that it has to come from the central office, yung pong issuance of these LOAs.
May capacity kaya yung Office of the Commissioner para doon? Napakarami yung negosyo yan from small to large, no?
They have to find, they will have to find or advise a way on or put the necessary safeguards so that hindi na ma-abuse tong LOAs because again, a lot of people are really, and ang nakakalungkot dito is already the foreign investors, no, that have complained. Medyo mali na ito. It doesn't give a good signal. Wala na nga tayong investors dito. Tapos pati investors natin dito, titirahin pa ng BIR.
Pero tama din si Amisen. I mean, that could create a backlog, right? Number one, backlog. Number two, it gives the commissioner an inordinate amount of power, right? Siya lang makakapag-approve ng LOAs. And what we need is institutional reform, not just rely on one person, right? What if he gets replaced? Diba? What about your idea, which I understood from former Commissioner Kim Henares that she implemented during her time, which is cap the number of LOAs to 2 successive years. On the third year, hindi sila pwede mag-issue ng LOA unless there's evidence of fraud. Because what we're hearing as well from a lot of businesses is that they get multiple LOAs in one taxable year.
That is correct. That is correct. We'll be waiting for what the BIR will be proposing as the reforms and the guidelines that they'll be issuing the issuance of LOAs this time so that we will prevent the abuse. So I agree that it will be it will give so much power to one person if it's a commissioner, but we'll see. We'll wait for the reforms that they promise to present to us.
Pero on your end, Senator, may nakikita ba kayo? Kasi ang sinasabi nila, siyempre kapag corruption, kapag merong human intervention, talagang nagkakaroon yung discretion ng tao to assess. Do you see any way out of, kasi kahit mag-digitize, nakakahanap sila ng way of going around it Ano kaya ang pwede na any idea being tossed around sa Senate ngayon para mabawas-bawasan lang yung para mas systematic yung pag-assess kung magkano utang ng tao. Kasi meron, di ba may AI naman? Yes, please.
Well, digitization or pag computerize, that's really one way to curb corruption. But as you can see, parang ayaw talaga nila mag-computerize on purpose. It has been years already that yung mga BOC, BIR, LTO, parang hindi matuloy-tuloy yung computerization. So, but sometimes you really have to put your foot down. We really have to force it. I think this will be one way to really curb corruption. Human intervention, I think that will be better. And siguro, one more thing is the examiners will be required to wear itong mga body-worn cameras if they need to talk to the mga taxpayers.
Sa LOA,
probably one way. Yung mga LOA, kailangan may body-worn camera sila. So there are other things that can be introduced, that so that we can prevent further weaponization of the LOAs.
Pero sir, ang PNP matagal na dapat may body camera, hindi pa nabibigyan.
Hindi nila mabili.
Oo nga.
Pati yung procurement ng body cam may corruption.
Alam ko na. You ask the private sector to donate the body cams that they need. I bet you everyone will be happy to do it if it's to their benefit. Diba?
Para walang procurement problem.
But the sad thing about all of this thing is yung culture of, parang there's a culture of corruption that's really plaguing the nation. After the DPWH, sa spending, meron nang corruption sa paggastos natin. Itong revenue generation natin, parang two-prong attack. Pareho tayo may tama sa spending, meron ng corruption, sa pag-revenue generation, meron pa rin kaltas. So, we really, I think we really have to address this problem, yung corruption that is currently plaguing our government.
Pero sir, although on the other hand, I'm just looking at it kasi from the perspective na ibang klaseng problema to compared to yung sa, for example, flood control projects. In this particular case, you're looking at possible corruption within the bureaucracy, within the technocrats and the bureaucrats, not with political figures. I'm wondering lang how that factors in. Does it make it more difficult or easier to resolve if it's that kind of a problem versus, for example, corruption through insertions and kickbacks to lawmakers, ganon?
Oh yeah, you are correct. This is that's a bureaucracy. This involves the bureaucracy, no?
And long-termers.
The whole bureau. So medyo this would need talagang honest to goodness reform. So it will we have full trust naman in Secretary Becco, no? He seems to be a good guy, and hopefully they will be able to institute reforms with the Bureau of Internal Revenue or the BIR.
Kasi these kinds of, because it's a problem within the bureaucracy, medyo long-term yan. This would span administrations and politicians and so on down the line. It's also a little bit harder sometimes to stamp out kasi merong civil service yan.
That is correct. Talagang kung naging culture na ito through the years, it has been na-develop. So it would also take years for it to be reformed, no? Para malinis talaga ito. Unless they undertake drastic measures, no? Para po talaga magkaroon ng goodness reform to clean the bureaucracy.
Sen, funny enough, before I came to the studio, I was talking to a friend whose small business was victimized by the BIR. Hindi sila, well, they also got multiple LOAs, but the other problem is that in the assessment, for example, ni-reject ng BIR yung mga reasonable expenses like fuel, like electricity, for example, which are reasonable deductions, right, when you're running a business.
Yes.
What's your sense of how big this problem is, the corruption at the BIR, and how many the many different ways that they use to extort money from the businesses?
Well, you hear a lot of these stories. No, talagang they will find ways where they will find loopholes, find flaws or faults. Talagang para lang for you to be able to talk to them. But the bottom line is for the business to talk to them. Yun. When it comes to negotiation, alam na natin kung ano yun.
Oh.
So, I talked to also one of my friends last night who was one of the big importer. Ganun din. They will try to look for something that's irreconcilable, i-reconcile nila yung mga records, and then they will look for something that's not, that's in question, and then they will write them. And that's precisely to talk to them to negotiate. So, parang yun yung naging talaga, no? They would try to negotiate, and nandun na. I think that's where the corruption starts.
So, ang solution lang talaga dito is to take out the human intervention part, right?
Yes, I think yan po. Well, digitization, yung body-worn camera. So,
Hindi ba-
I think these are the...
Hindi ba pwede i-legislate yung they have to digitize? It's the same problem as in customs, right? It's taken them several years to get their automation and digitization in order. And yung bagong commissioner, si Ariel Nepomuceno, spoke to us as well and said that he's gonna try his best. But of course, it's hard to get it through. There's a lot of resistance.
Well, yeah, yung LTO, BIR, Bureau of Customs have been trying to digitize, but parang on purpose. Somehow it doesn't push through. Nagkakaroon ng cases, no? Legal cases. So I think we just have to put your foot down for this. I think if you really digitize, that's really one way to really curb corruption with the use of technology. Tapos yung body-worn cameras and other forms.
Senator, we're running out of time. Pahabol ko lang. Your thoughts on the anti-dynasty bill that was filed yesterday? Dahil, of course, you are also part of a big political clan. Ano po yung tingin nyo dun sa Pinay?
Well, ako, I have been supportive of the anti-political dynasty bill ever since because although admittedly I belong to a political family, a dynasty you may call it, but with 110 million Filipinos, there are a lot of Filipinos out there who are willing to serve, who just doesn't have the name, the means, the machinery, wala silang pangalan. So I think we really have to, it's about time that we really have to take this seriously. And ako, given the chance, I would really support this because I still believe that there are a lot of, with 110 million Filipinos, there are a lot of those who are capable. No one has the monopoly to in public service.
Okay.
And then as for your thoughts on the budget, Senator, we're kicking off live streaming. We're kicking off the BICAM tomorrow, and sa Senate contingent, it includes Senator Bato de la Rosa, who hasn't been around since early November. Paano kaya yun? How will you guys? What's the game plan here for the Senate?
Well, I do not know who's going to show tomorrow, but I'd just like to say that this budget will really be one of the most transparent in years. And I would like to commend Senator Gatchalian, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, for doing a good job. Talaga, everything was really transparent, everything was done and planned, even the individual and institutional amendments. So hopefully this will carry on to the BICAM. Sana talaga ma-live stream because that was our commitment, that everything will now be live stream so that the public would know what's happening.
How different is your version from that of the houses? Do you know? How much do we need to reconcile here?
Right now I really do not know yet. I haven't seen the matrix, but from what I know, the Senate increased as usual yung mga institutional agencies, like AFP modernization from 10 billion increased to 50 billion, and then the flood control budget, yung 250 billion, we aligned it to agencies like the OTR that would still continue for kailangan natin ng spending, kailangan natin ng construction. So we will have more airports and we'll have more classes.
Yeah.
And then the Senate also increased the yung sa PhilHealth, the subsidiary. We made it from 60 billion. It will now be 120 billion. So yung 60 billion that was lost last year, now it's back double na. So it will now be 120 billion, the subsidy for PhilHealth. So these are the things that we really improved in the Senate right now. And also, we made sure yung po sana on my part, since I defended the DOTR, that the program appropriate, that the foreign assisted projects, yung pong, especially yung pong railway projects, will now be in the program funds, and we'll assure that there will be no more delays this time.
Okay, that's very good to hear. We'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us even whilst you're at the hospital. We wish you a speedy recovery. Senate Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.B. Ejercito.
Thank you, sir. Happy
Thank
Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator.
Thank you.
Pagaling kayo.
Ko talaga, nasa ospital lang yung tao eh.
Oo nga.
Binuriri
Oo
pa
nga.
ng binuriri.
Hindi naman ako yung tumawa. Sandy ako yun
Nagtuwan eh.
But thank you so much for to everyone for joining Storycon today. I'm Mipa Magduan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Have a great weekend, everyone. Join us again Monday, 4 p.m. for Storycon for the coverage of the budget.
BICAM.
I am Regina Lay.
I'm Medlin Gao, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.